All right. Well, good afternoon, good evening. Whoa. And welcome to episode number 68 of my GEMP game review series. I am your host, Chris Goglin. Thank you for joining me on this wonderful December Monday evening. We're going to go over a few things today. Make sure we get all the chat up and running. Yep, looking good, looking good. We've got a few things in store for you tonight. We'll go over. I will reveal the another piece of the Twitch subscription incentive. You've heard about the foils, but there is in addition to the foils that you get, there is a new poker chip as well, which I finally have, so I can show that off for you. Then we will talk a little bit about some of the errata and recent other changes that have happened. And then we've got a holiday giveaway going on in here. Some great stuff to give away. So let's get started. Big news, obviously, in the Star Wars community was the release of the errata, which Chris Kelly and Dan and them and Jerry went over about 2 weeks ago. But now we have the PDF released, so you can see the updated graphics and you can print out and put your new V slips in. Imperial Enforcement going over Domination, Domination being blanked, Insignificant Rebellion being a new card with the RAL Ops text being moved off of it, and then the tweaks to the First Order Stormtrooper and the Blaster kind of taking them down a little bit. The Blaster doesn't fire at +2 by a trooper, and it's less effective when it's on someone like Kylo or Snoke or Hux or any of those guys. And the First Order Trooper doesn't deploy for free now; he just deploys for -1. So a little bit more resources have to be spent. And then the light side of things, Mon Mothma's not free; she deploys -1, so that might slow down Diplo a little bit. Brave Resistance can only get a character of equal or lesser ability to the one you put back, so you can still strike planning and throw Leia back early to get pretty much anyone you want. But cycling back that Destiny 5 Rose is going to limit your options a little bit. You can't get Solo, you can't get Leia, a couple other guys as well. And then the tweaks to Like My Father and the Objective. And speaking of queso sauce, there he is, right on cue. So the new PDF has been released. So you can go ahead and go and print that out and download that. But we also have a couple of new preview cards. We talked about Blaster Rack on last week's show. Chris Kelly let us spoil that, and I assumed that Side was being updated to match. And indeed it was. So these are now download a matching weapon on your unique character present at a site. Okay, so month number 13. Thank you very much for doing that, for renewing your subscription. The PC appreciates your support. Then we get the Luke Skywalker Rebel Scout. His updated text is kind of a merge between the old Luke Rebel Scout and the Young Skywalker. Young Skywalker was blanked and is going away here. So now we've got this new Luke who gets the redraw text. He gets the power +1 for the Dark Jedi, but then he also has the weapon destiny draw and the opponent having to use force to fire that was on Rebel Scout. So instead of having two Lukes that were both fairly good on their own, and people were sort of figuring out which one's better in different situations. It was like, well, if we really want a Luke that can compete with Destiny 6 Jedi Luke Jedi Knight there, then what we really need to do is just give him a big overhaul. For some reason, he's got a Death Star 2 icon down here. I felt like Luke Rebel Scout had a Death Star 2 icon on the card already, but maybe I'm mistaken. And they added the icon to the V-slip as well. All right. He just has the Ref 2 icon? Okay. Now I have to go look this up. You guys have made me curious. I'm going to have to go over here to this stack of cards that I have sitting behind me. And we're going to have to find a Luke Rebel Scout. Okay, so he does have the Death Star 2 icon, which I thought he did, but it is on the bottom of the card like you guys are talking about. Okay, so that's why the V-slip would cover it up, so you had to put it on the V-slip as well. All right, makes sense. Okay. Well, thank you guys for clarifying that and making sure that the V-slip retains the icon, because obviously that'll be important because that will trigger things like my father or there is good in him, which requires you to start a Death Star 2 Luke. So now you can use this guy, who's pretty sweet. Doesn't have the force retrieval on Endor thing that the other one did, but getting a power bump, getting a weapon destiny draw bump, and making them have to use force to, the old one had to use force to fire weapons and stuff too. Still pretty solid. So I like this Luke. I think he'll see some play. Certainly expect him to see some play as a splashable Luke in a number of decks. You could certainly make a case that at this deploy forfeit ratio, he slots into certain decks better than some of the other Lukes do. So you could put him into something like Watch Your Step, and then just run Cytor to pull the weapon, or not even do that and just use your use pile searches to get a lightsaber form, or your control tunnel visions. I mean, Watch Your Step is a deck that doesn't really hurt for ways to fish cards out, so he certainly could be a good alternative for that, rather than having to run the Jedi Lukes and worry about that. I mean, you don't draw sixes, but you can do the redraw in most cases. A Dark Time still stops it, of course. Tomas stopping by before going to bed. Well, that's very nice of you um, for joining us this evening. I do want to show off the token real fast, so we'll do that real quick first. So those of you, you can check out my great beard that's going as the way. So those of you, when you hit your 12-month subscriptions, you get the I Want That Map foil that we've talked about, but you also get this lovely gold, orange, it's orange. I don't know why I said gold. Uh, Poker chip now that you can see, get from the right angle. And on the back of said chip is the Star Wars logo, but you can't quite make it out. I'll see if I can get it in a little bit. No, it's not going to focus. What it says around the logo is "Sorry about the mess," so which I think is also pretty cool. So those will be going out to those of you who have hit your 12-month subscriptions. A couple of you, I think, have already passed on the foils to. I will need to get you your chips as well. Probably have them with me at major tournaments. They're not the easiest thing to mail because of their shape and rigidity. They don't exactly fit in standard envelopes. They're not machinable. So the mail sorting machines tend to just chew these up, and that's no good for anybody. So if you happen to place an order through the PC store or something like that, where I'm shipping you something else, I'll be sure to include it with those. Otherwise, I'll probably just have a bunch of them on me at major tournaments, and they can go out that way. Send mine to Endor. That I could probably do. I could probably put together a small. I have to put together a small little box of stuff to send Werfs, I'm sure, for that tournament anyway. So I will just put a wish list in there, or a little checklist in there of who gets what, and ship it on out to Senior Werfo. A little queso box. All right. We'll see what we can do. Try and make that happen. The other thing going on, of course, right now, we've got the Endor Grand Prix coming up January 24th through the 26th, so about 6 weeks away. And we've got, 26 people signed up now? Registered players, 26. Yep. We've got a couple new faces making their first ever major tournament appearances. Connor, a.k.a. Stubley on GEMP, if you've been playing against him in the OCS for a while, or any other leagues. He'll be now in the SoCal area. He will be making his way to his first major live tournament. Ryan Jellison will be bringing one of his children with him, making his first appearance at a major event. Some other guys, Edward Cheen, I don't think we've seen him in quite some time. Nate Davis has been around the forums for a while, but hasn't played in tournaments most recently. We've got some more people traveling. Paul making his first major appearance outside of like regionals and things like that, traveling to his first major tournament. Part of the new part of Team Colorado, whatever they decided to. Elspeth is his wife. Oh, okay, taught his wife how to play. See, I don't know Ryan that well. I don't know his family's names. Thank you guys for correcting me. Those of you who know him better. So he's bringing his wife. Okay, that's awesome. Yep, yep, yep. Team High Ground is what you went with. Okay, I like it. I think that works well for Team Colorado being Team High Ground. That is pretty solid. And then, of course, you've got a couple, hey, this guy's actually going to try and make it to an event. We haven't seen him at a live event in quite some time either. Yeah, emphasis on the high part, exactly. I think this is also Casey's first trip out west to uh, to the Indoor Grand Prix. Maybe not. He may have been there once before. This is like the fifth year you guys have been doing the Indoor Grand Prix. So they have 26 people signed up. I'm sure we'll get a couple more. A couple people paying at the door. I'm sure. Uh, you know, local guys or whatever. I don't see Kyle on here yet. I don't. Phil's on there. So I'm sure you guys will break 30, which will be awesome. And you never know who else might just show up randomly and want to play. The other thing going on, of course, right now is the Outrider Cup. Team USA not off to a good start. Um, we've had a couple matches played so far. So Werfs and Bastion were playing a pretty competitive game that was going back and forth. Dan streamed that one last Friday night. You can watch it right here. It was going pretty well. Werfs made one tiny miscalculation at the end, which ended up costing him the game. Bastion ends up picking up a win by 8 there. And then Chris Kelly didn't have some things go his way in game 1 and lost by about 15 and could have cut that a little lower, but I guess opted not to. Just rolled right into game number 2 and had a bad matchup in that one and just sort of scooped it pretty quick. So Team Europe on the board, 1-0 right now. Olsen and Silverglen started game number 1, but it crashed midway. GEMP crashed. So I don't know when they've rescheduled anything for. We've got Shaw and Kieran playing tomorrow. I don't think we're going to be doing a replay stream for that one. We're going to have to because at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon. I don't think we have anybody available to stream that. Desai and Emil were supposed to play over the weekend, but that got canceled and postponed. Don't know when they're playing. And same thing with Mishki and Tom. So hopefully we can get those games scheduled because we only have about a week to go because these games have to be done by Sunday. So that way we can release the new errata and preview cards onto GEMP. So that way everybody else can, everybody can start playing with all the new stuff. But we got to wrap up the Outrider Cup here and get all these matches in the next 6 days here. So hopefully these guys get on the ball and get this stuff scheduled. Otherwise, we're going to have some missed games, and that's going to kind of skew the whole event. And nobody really wants to do that, right? I mean, what fun would that be? So, Jedi Jer going to try and make it to the MPC. Well, you're on the right coast. It's a heck of a lot shorter flight now for you than coming all the way from Salt Lake City now that you're in Florida. It's just straight up the East Coast. That's like a 2-hour plane ride. There's no time zone change. Uh, Newark to Orlando is a heck of a lot more reasonable. So, Gornall, thank you for renewing your subscription. Month number 12. Yay! Congratulations. You too have now earned yourself an orange chip by hitting your 12-month subscription. So thank you very much for renewing that. All right, let's go ahead and let's do our holiday giveaway. We'll go over it. I'm going to do the drawing at 7:15. That way, just in case, we'll give everybody an extra minute or so. So for any of you guys who know have been to know any of the Europeans or have seen any of their foils or the things that they do, Kevin and the rest of Team Wales does some pretty amazing stuff, and they put together some great foil cards that are wonderful collectible items, not necessarily for gameplay items, but they're wonderful collectible items. And I happen to have 3 wonderful packs that Kevin made. and the rest of the Welsh Dragons. Can't forget about John, Mark, and oh crap, I'm forgetting the fourth one. That's embarrassing. I'm sorry. The rest of the whole Welsh Dragons. We're just going to leave it at that. All those guys out there, they do an amazing job. Kevin spearheads that little team, but I know that they all put in a lot of man hours, and it's very much appreciated by the community. The European players love all these things. They love going to events and swapping cards and things like that. And we haven't seen a whole lot of them here in America, but I'm going to change that. I'm going to start spreading some of these around. So 3 wonderful packs, which happen to be sort of Christmassy colors, and they will be shipped in this wonderful Darth Vader Christmas stocking because, well, it wouldn't be Christmas without a stocking, and these things work wonderful as stocking stuffers. So I'm going to just slide these guys right on inside there, and this will be a lovely Christmas present for somebody. Yeah. Pete. Ah, that's the guy I forgot. I apologize, Pete the Welsh. Yes. You guys all have cool nicknames. That's why sometimes I get mixed up. Thank you, Jared. I was completely blanking on that. So I appreciate that. So here's how we're going to do this. All right. If you want to be a participant in the raffle, what you have to do is in the Twitch chat, type !raffle. Like I just did right there. We'll give everybody a minute to go ahead and do that, and then we will randomly determine our winner. While we're waiting on that, we'll pop over to GEMP, see if there's anything going on here. Let's refresh real quick. Doesn't look like there's a lot of games going on the old GEMP server right now. I was hoping maybe we'd catch like a Jawa Cup match or something that we could pop into and take a look at tonight, but doesn't look like it's gonna happen right now. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, looks like we got 6 people in the raffle. Give it another 30 seconds just in case anybody else pops in. Oh, maybe we'll get Jared and Kimura playing their Jawa Cup Round 5 matchup. All right. We're going to do a random number generator from 1 to 6. And one of you lucky people is going to win the Darth Vader stocking with those 3 packs in it. All right, raffle is now closed. Number 6. I believe that's Bob. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, Gornall, congratulations. 6 it is. Well, then I'll just go ahead and I'll just throw that poker chip right on in there for you. And happy holidays, buddy. Thank you for watching the show. We very much appreciate that. And I will get that shipped out to you in the next couple days here. So, yeah, thank you very much for that. And, what fun would it be to just give away one thing, leading up to Christmas? So, I think I might have to do this again next week. It's so much fun to just give away stuff. It's really fun to get some of this stuff out of my office, too. Um, so, I think next week we're going to do another giveaway at 7:15 promptly. At 7:15. Tell your friends. Don't tell your friends. That's entirely up to you. But next week we're going to give out one more. I was wondering whether or not I was going to give this out or not because I've had this for a little while, but I haven't exactly used it. My wife gave me these. She actually suggested I give them away because we haven't really hung them up anywhere because we don't have anywhere to hang up stockings. Um, but this particular one, this is mine. This is my Yoda stocking that she got for me that we just have never used. Um, and Yoda being my favorite character, I wasn't sure if I was going to give it away or hang on to that one a little longer. But given how much fun we just had giving stuff away, I think next week we're going to give Yoda away. And Yoda will have the same stocking stuffers, the same 3 packs, red, green, and silver, to get some sweet European cards to give out to everybody. And I may just throw some other random stuff in there too. So congratulations to Gornall on winning this week, and be sure and tune in next week to find out who you could win again. You can get a fresh crack at it. All right, map versus no idea. Well, we already know how that game goes. We've seen that one more than a few times. So I don't really see a whole big point in rewatching that one. So if there's nothing else going on here, we might just wrap this show up fairly early tonight. Doesn't really seem like there's a whole lot else. We've got our errata. We've got our Outrider Cup. The MPC is coming up in April. Never too early to start reserving your hotel room, or we'll get the pre-registration going for that in just another week or two here. Start getting players signed up. New Brunswick, New Jersey, April 17th through the 19th. So it's slightly earlier this year than it was last year. That will avoid the scheduling conflicts with some of the stuff going on at Rutgers. I'm sure there will still be a dance group because, well, we always seem to find those. Um, but I think that's really it for Star Warsy stuff right now. The Jawa Cup is wrapping up. You guys have had round 5 kicking off here. Still have 50 people playing in it. And then you guys got to get your last game in too before, obviously, well, the errata is only going to affect the most of your top decks, which are already excluded from the Jawa Cup format. But I guess the Luke could have a little bit of an impact, and the Saitor Blaster Rack stuff could have a little bit of an impact in Game 6 of the Jawa Cup. And then that tournament will get wrapped up here. Thanks to Taco Bill for running that. It doesn't look like there's much else going on down there. Don't scroll too far down. You guys get to see all the forums that I have access to. I don't want access to anymore. I really don't. But yeah, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot going on the old GEMP tonight. I don't have any good replay links to look at because we're kind of in that transition period where I don't want to look at games that we've seen a lot before. And we haven't really had any Outrider Cup matchups. I was hoping maybe I'd have like a replay link or two from some of those games, but those guys haven't really been playing them yet. They're all kind of scheduling them, trying to get to it this week. And I have a feeling we're going to have like 6 games played at the same time on Saturday or Sunday. So, I think that's going to do it for tonight. Oh, check your Slack. Sent you a replay. New cards will not be legal for Game 6, but will be legal for Top 8. Play me, coward. Are you insisting that I play you? You sent me your Jawa Cup match. Except you sent it to Slack, which I can't transfer to my desktop because I don't have all that set up. But what do we got here? My kind of scum against EBO. Ooh, that could be interesting. All right. Please hold. This looks like it could be an interesting game, so we'll check this out. But in order to do this, I have to do a couple things in order to get the link, because I only have Slack on my phone. So now I have to email the link to myself, and then I have to go into my email and get the link, which I don't want you guys to see my email or see my password. My wife watches these. She might get ideas about what her Christmas present is if she sees my inbox. Thank you, Jeremy, for sending me the link. I hope everybody enjoys this game. Okay. All right, so we got Germs and Dylan. We got My Kind of Scum. That's what most of you guys are. You're My Kind of Scum. All right, so he's going with Greedo as the rep. Okay. Rhodians are pretty easy to get out. You've got the Uta Guta card that also helps with that. So in case you want to flip, because flipping the objective is pretty good. EBO is pretty strong in the Jawa Cup format because a lot of it's natural predators. The faster decks like Map are banned, and the ROPs that can actually just stack up one system in space and just kind of grind them out, ping them to death on the ground, is also banned. So strong light side deck choice, but a very predictable light side deck choice. So if you it's something you take into consideration when you're building a dark side deck. So let's look at the My Kind of Scum objective because we haven't seen this one too much. So you get to start the Desert Heart and a Jabba's Palace site. You almost always start Jabba's Palace, so then you can pull all your other Jabba's Palace sites. You're really probably playing the Audience Chamber and the lower passages, but I've seen people play other ones. Sometimes you can play. People were playing the Droid Workshop for a while until they realized that EV99 and the droids don't quite work like you think they do. And there's always that guy who wants to do something with the Rancor pit and feed people to the Rancor, but that unfortunately doesn't always pan out either. You reveal a species, that guy's your rep. So we revealed Greedo, he's the rep. Rhodians are the alien species. You can't play insert cards or operatives, blah blah blah. Rebels are immune to no bargain and bad feeling have I, while Frozen Han is on the table. So if you're playing against Prophet, these cards are of no use. You flip it if you occupy 2 battleground sites, and since there is a non-Tatooine location on table, which basically means anything outside the sealed deck environment that this comes from, because this comes from the Jabba's Palace sealed deck. So now you need a non-unique alien of your rep species. So you'll need a Rhodian in order to flip. And if you do flip, you get some decent bonuses. Once per turn, cancel a 4-strain or just drawn Battle Destiny, placing a copy of your rep here from hand. You can deploy your rep from there as if from hand, so as long as there's not one on the table, you can just deploy him off the objective. So you basically have your guy die, send him used, deploy another one off the objective, or retrieve him with scum, rather, all those little things. The big benefit, for the most part, is right here. While Jabba and Bib on table, your Battle Destiny draws are each +2. So that can be pretty good. If you get some guys like Boba Fett Bounty Hunter who add Jango Fett, guys who add Battle Destinies, and then you have a way to draw multiples of them that are +2 each, it can be incredibly strong, and you can, run up a lot of power. Wounded Wookiee is Destiny +3. That will include the Abyss and Wounded Wookiee combo card, which goes from a Destiny 2 to a Destiny 5, and then if you draw it for Battle Destiny, it's now a Destiny 7. Pretty strong. Obviously, evac control kind of stops all that, but still pretty strong. And then this part doesn't really come into play often, the aliens being forfeit +2, because there's often non-Tatooine locations on table. So that's what we're looking at there. He started Power of the Hut, which is going to pull a whole bunch of stuff. Boilo Bib, Efantmon, the Sail Barge, the Space Cruiser, Hut Influence, probably almost all those cards should be in the deck. Makes the aliens on the sail barge immune to less than 6. So, because before the sail barge would be immune, but it's an open vehicle, so the guys on it wouldn't. So it didn't really work out very well. You still had to start losing guys off it. Now they are get some immunity. Hut Influence is actually going to be pretty good here because things like Projection won't work because they'll have aliens with 2 different card titles. So that'll let him keep his drains going. Being able to pull the sail barge or the space cruiser will really help a little bit in space, at least to contest that a little bit. We talked about Uta Guta, which use a force to upload a Rhodian or non-unique alien of your rep species, so he can get any Rhodians, or if you happen to pick a different species, you can still use that as well. But then he's got Buelo already in hand, which is the guy you can pull. Galen's another interesting guy because he adds 1 to force drains at Jabba's Palacites when he's at the audience chamber. So basically, your drains of 1, 1, and 1 at the palace, the audience chamber, and the lower passages all become drains of 2 now. And when you add in HUD Influence to keep them from being modified by your opponent, now you can actually start doing some damage on the ground and put some pressure on your opponent. Something Court doesn't really do very well. Court doesn't drain very well. Usually it's a drain of 1 in the audience chamber and a drain of 1 at Nalhutta, and you're like, well, how am I going to win like that? I have to battle to win, and more often than not, your audience chamber drain gets projectioned. MKOS has more Jabba's Palacites. It makes sense to play more cards like Galen and HUD Influence and things like that. And it can do a little bit more there, so you get the benefits of that and actually can threaten some damage of your own. And then, of course, Chow. Chow's kind of a must, especially in this format with Profit being so big. First off, he makes your aliens deploy -1 to same or adjacent Tatooine sites, so you put him in the audience chamber, and then the guys deploy -1 to all 3 of your Jabba's Palace sites. And then with Scum, they deploy -1 more, so guys deploy very, very cheap. When deployed, you can take a non-unique alien into hand from reserve deck. That would mostly be for your Rhodians, but also the Cloud City Engineer, if you're expecting Profit, comes in handy as well because he raises your converted location to the top. So you start Chow, you pull the Cloud City Engineer, they convert your audience chamber, and then first turn you just deploy the Engineer, raise your converted site to the top if you want it, and then you can do your things like go get your alien from reserve deck as well. The light side site is also pretty good. Because it makes your alien leaders completely immune, which is the dark side one does not. But having the guy pull and having the force choke, being able to flip their sights back and make your sights 2 1s instead of 1 2s, you get some force activation for you and kind of choke your opponent a little bit. That can go a long way, so always a good thing to consider as well. All right, so let's get off and running here. And of course, EBO is EBO. We've seen that one more than a few times. Slight little variations depending on whether he's got a speeder package or not. But they pretty much all start the same way with Walkling and Strike Planning. He Rebel Leaderships for Radis. Again, not really giving much away. If you want to see what Jeremy's deck list was, just watch the replay and pause it. Actually, I'm going to pause it myself because I want to, just out of curiosity, is he playing a Cloud City Engineer? He did not, unless he's in his force, unless it's activated. He did not go with the Cloud City Engineer. So you got Bib, you got HUD Influence, Jabba's Space Cruiser, the sites, the sail barge site. Yep. And of course the Twi'leks to all go with it. Yeah, a lot of the same character package that you see in Scum. Just has a little bit more. You're kind of staying on your sites a little more and kind of forcing them to kind of come toward you as opposed to Court Scum, which kind of just sells out on going after your opponent because that's the only way you really can win. Excuse me. Alright, so Uta Gutas for a Rhodian. He pulls the audience chamber. He gets an Alhutta out, gets a nice little activation bump. While Explicit and Senator Mon Mothma. Interesting. Why would he take Senator Mon Mothma? He's going to use her to get Chandrilla. He's going to play a bunch of capitals. All right. So we're getting little clues of information here. Anytime you see somebody pull a card that isn't exactly what you're expecting, like strike planning, usually we see people get generals. They get Riken, they get Dodonna, they get Wallix in this type of build. You may even see people pull General Leia, stick her at the war room to shut down Admiral's orders. Rare, but you don't see people pull Mon Mothma very often, so that's going to kind of clue you in. If they're playing Mon Mothma, she deploys free aboard capitals currently until the errata comes out. So probably going to be running a handful of capitals to make use out of her text. And why would you be doing that? So you can get to Chandrilla faster. So I mean, you can pull Chandrilla anyway, but yeah. She's not going to be in a Senate majority. Stolen data tapes will not be on tables, so you're not going to get the redraw text. Maybe he was thinking that that would work. Forgot that that's restricted, or maybe he just really wanted just to be able to, get a good forfeit fodder and get the system out a turn faster to kind of get the EBO damage running a bit sooner. And he uses his Wackling Pole to get Haven. It was a very risky move. Future reference, Dylan, you would want to make sure to deploy something first, because you did all your pulls and you ended up with 13 cards in your hand after you Wacklinged for Haven. God forbid your opponent plays Monarch right there and puts half their stuff back. You've now just wasted a bunch of your once per game pulls on your strike plannings and your Wackling pull, and you may not end up with those cards in your hand after a used Monarch. So deploy something first before you spend your 3 force and get your extra card and go to 13. So he's got the docking bay. He's got the war room. We got Radis. We got Riken. He's just going to empty some stuff out of his hand, so now he's got some more space to draw a couple of these cards. Germs is going to grab another copy of Greedo. He's got 3, plus there's at least one more in the deck, right? So is he running 5 copies of Greedo? Whew. And Dylan draws up to 13 again. Does not fear the Monarch, huh? Okay. All right. We got Jabba to the audience chamber. Now here's where things are going to start rolling. So there's the Jabba in the audience chamber, and here comes Scum. I'm sure we're going to see Chow hit the table here in a second. Usually we see people put the audience chamber in the middle. Chow's going to end up in the middle, wherever the middle site is. Usually people put the audience chamber in the middle, so you kind of stack the audience chamber. But against a deck like EBO, you don't expect them to come to the ground too heavily. Against something like Throne Room, you might put your sights a little differently. But against a deck like EBO, maybe there's an EPP or something in there, maybe a speeder that might end up here. But you'll do some stuff and get your guys out cheap. Buelo's going to go down with Chow. What does Buelo do? Deploys only on Tatooine or same location as Jabba. When in a battle, either at the audience chamber or with your alien leader, cancel one opponent's battle destiny just drawn. Well, alien leaders, there are an abundance of them in this deck, including Chow Beacon. He's a leader somewhere in here. There it is, leader. That's not the bib, that's a leader. This is the bib that gets the power bonus. So he's power +3 with Jabba, so he's power 6. So Jabba can double him up to 12. This is always an interesting text as well. Doesn't really get used too often, but you can. During your draw phase, use a force, count the number of cards in your force pile, place your force pile in your used pile, and then activate force up to the counted number. So if there's something in your reserve deck that you really were hoping to draw, instead of just drawing a bunch of cards that don't really help you, you could spend a force. That would leave him with 3. He takes these 3 cards, puts them used. He can activate 3 new ones, and then try and draw those. If he's more interested in, or if he had tracked something, if he had seen it for Destiny earlier, he could possibly move it around that way. Doesn't get used too often, but it can be very helpful if you're tracking stuff around in your deck. Other alien leaders, well, we see the Prince right there in hand. Your rep is a leader. That's remainder of game. Your rep is a leader. So in this case, Greedo will be a leader. Mithrandu's a leader. Ephantmon's a leader. The Lady Proxima, that's her name. Oh, so bad today. She's a leader. You know, there's a whole bunch of them. So now you just move the Rhodian away because you need to have the 3rd battleground to flip, and then you only need to occupy 2 battlegrounds to stay flipped. So we got Gix and Greedos galore. The other thing with the objective is it does let you start well guarded. So if you're worried about Grimtosh, which you should be right now, because dear lord, uh, 4 Greedos in hand, Grimtosh lost. All your reps would end up in your loss pile. Alright, so he's paying extra for Mon Mothma. Don't know why he did that, because he has Wallix in hand, because we saw him pull Wallix earlier. So I'm not quite sure what Dylan's course of action here is. There's the Lightmaker. There's Green Squadron, Green Leader, and Green Squadron 1. He's going to need capital here or something else that actually has capacity, because Lightmaker doesn't have any capacity on it. Can't put anybody in it. He's going to move them to the docking bay, but he can't shuttle these guys up yet because there's nowhere for them to go to. Not that I would expect Jeremy to be coming to battle anytime soon, especially with Haven there and stuff deploying as a react, whether it's Spiral or Red 8. I don't necessarily see that working out so well. He does get Chandrilla out, though, and he got EBO up and running. But with Galed out, he's going to get some drains going here. This is going to be 2 and 2. And he's got the force available to pay for it. So Tanev and Gold Leader and Gold 1 go off the top. And then he's going to pop Walkling and retrieve Gold Leader and Gold 1. And Jeremy's going to pull Code Clearance in case there's a Walker sighting or anything. And he'll get Secret Plans as well. Now that your opponent pulled Battle Plan, there aren't really many shields Darkseid's going to need this game. So you can go ahead and spend the extra force, the extra defensive shields on those cards. You'll also notice that it highlighted and gave him the option to cancel the drain with his objective. You can cancel your own force drain. We've talked about that before too, where especially with Leia Rebel Princess, it can come in handy. Alright, so we just have Arika V hit the table now. She is the one that gets to, if present at a battleground and Luke is not, retrieve a force. That always comes in handy. He's going to stay at... Nope, he's going to put the Prince out there. I was going to say, if he's staying at 2 sites, I would have thought maybe Arika would have gone out here. She's a little bit stronger character, a little bit better to work with, but he's going to move Buelo outside with the Prince, so that'll cancel a Battle Destiny, and then he's got the ability, of course, to use the objective to cancel one as well. And he's got a whole bunch of Greedos to deploy as reacts too, so that's the other advantage to doing the Greedo method. Does Well Guard only help protect your non-uniques? I thought it was protected against Monarch, but I could be wrong. So we'll use the objective to cancel the drain there, canceling the drain 3 at Hoth. And there is Wallix Blissix going to the lower passages with Hobby. He's got a gun. All right, so let's see what we got here. So this guy does a whole lot of nothing. He just happens to be some forfeit fodder. Hobby's got an EPP gun built right in. It's Destiny +1. And then Wedge is going to show up. Wedge will cancel the Destiny when he's with a Red or Rogue Squadron pilot, which Hobby is. Okay, so this is an interesting approach line. And there's a Commander Luke as well. So Arica will not get to retrieve because Luke is on the table. He's foregoing the speeder option, it looks like, for now. It looks like he's going to try and battle in this site and then possibly move whoever lives outside. He's got 6 force left. Probably going to need 1 to battle and 2 to 3 to move. She does his other wonderful thing. Once per game during your move phase, may relocate her to Luke's location. It's not really that big of a deal. He spends a force on the Masanya, backing up, and a Mon Cal Admiral piloting it. Kind of just dumping his hand here, putting everything out on the table. He's going to deploy the Greedo off the objective as a react. Why not? You want to get the guys off the objective, right? So they can end up cycling back through your deck. There's a leadership to add a Battle Destiny, so he's going to get to draw 2 now. And Hobby's going to take a shot at somebody. He's going to have to spend a force to do it, though. And this is where things might get a little dicey. Yeah, he hits Greedo. But now he's only got 3 force left. Which means if he cancels his opponent's Destiny, which Wedge would do, he can't move all 4 guys. He certainly doesn't want to split up. Going off script. Yeah, this is definitely going off script. Sending these guys outside the speeder into the lower passages site is very much going off script. So he draws just a 1, which is +2 because the objective is flipped, so it's a 3. But Wedge will cancel that. So Lightside's going to win the battle, 12-6. Greedo's going to get forfeited here. And he'll lose the Rhodian and probably a couple of cards here in battle damage. He only had 2. Oh, he's going to lose Chal as well. I thought he might have kept Chal. I guess he could Jabba's Haven for Chal if he really wants to get Chal back and then drop some other guys cheap. But yeah, herein lies the problem now. He can't. He doesn't have enough force left to split these guys, to move these guys over. He's only got 3. And he certainly doesn't want to split them up. So he's going to load up the Masanya, move that over, and he'll leave these guys hanging out at Hoth. And this is usually where the counter beat comes back. Oh, that's the other thing the objective does. Once during each of your control phases, may retrieve a non-unique alien of your rep's species. So you get your non-unique Rhodians back. Just 1 extra retrieval aspect of the deck, so that way your scum retrieval pulls are a little bit better. He's going to forego the force draining this turn because he's just going to drop a bunch of guys and do some stuff instead. We got a Greedo. We got an Ig. That didn't get a barrier, so here comes a Boba Fett. We might even see a Forlom make an appearance too. Yep. Now, he doesn't have battle plan out, so he can't battle for free. Which means he can't use Scum to retrieve because of aim high. Forlom will cancel Wedge's text, so he can't cancel a Battle Destiny. That's going to let Hobby get a shot off. Probably would have done this slightly differently. It does make defense value 0, and Wedge only cancels a Battle Destiny draw. So probably should have used Ig first if you were going to try and capture Hobby, which is a pretty decent guy to capture. You would use Ig first, capture Hobby. Opponent would get an action. Then Forlom would cancel Wedge's text, so you couldn't cancel your Battle Destinies. And then you would resume play from there. He's going to get one of his guys shot here because of doing things slightly out of order. So he shoots at Greedo. He'll hit Greedo, make Greedo forfeit 0. Boba Fett's going to die to the Battle Destiny his opponent draws anyway. Yep, see now he's going to go Ig for Hobby, which... Hey, he's captured. Take him prisoner. Takes a little bit of power away. And some extra forfeit. And now he gets 4 Battle Destiny. Bam. 7. That's a 4. That's a 4. I mean, he was already he was at 8 before he started drawing anything because of the +2 to each draw. So even though he didn't draw the greatest cards, he still ends up with 19 for Battle Destiny plus the 16 power. He's got a whopping 35 to his opponent's 9. Which isn't even worth stacking a guy to cancel. It's like, great, lose 26. Well, those guys cover 16 all on their own. In this case, he doesn't want to cancel the Destiny too because he wants to lose Fett, so he needs to have attrition. So, yeah, so like I said, those guys covered 16, so it's those guys in 10. It's going to be a quick game at that rate. EBO not known for running Hujix because it usually doesn't run into these situations. Sometimes this is what happens when you go off script. So a little bit of mismanagement of resources on the previous turn. Didn't give him the opportunity to move his guys back out, get Luke in the speeder, etc. And this is what happens on the counterattack the following turn. So he peels Profundity, Anakin, Bravo Fighter, Bright Hope, Redemption, Corn Horn, Rey, Leadership, Combined, Fleet Action, and Rogue 3. That was pretty harsh. He's taking a big whack here. He's down about 12 cards now in Life Force. And his opponent's going to be able to cancel one of these drains of turns. And now he's just going to kind of lean on him. He spends a force to move Jabba over out of the audience chamber, so he continues to occupy the 3 sites. He can pull resistance now with his 4th shield, because he's got 3 battlegrounds. He can cancel 1 drain with a guy, and then lose 2 to the other drain. And in the meantime, he'll be draining for 6. Plus, he's got a 10-card head start. Throws away a Scum, top decks a Twi'lek. Echo Base Garrison comes out, which will pull that Luke out of his deck we saw earlier. So there's Luke number 2. Luke can show up in his speeder now, but if I were him, I'd be moving Luke out to the Desert Heart and just calling it a day. There you go. Go sit over there, threaten a drain of 2 more, and get around paying for battle order and see if what you can figure out from there. You can get the control tunnel vision with the rescue. That'll cancel 1 of the drains of 2. But more likely, you'd rather just use that next turn to try and find anything else that might be left in your deck that would be more helpful. Present at a battleground, and Luke is not. Luke is not present at a battleground because he's inside the speeder. It's a tricky little wordplay. Oh, Star Wars. If you're Jeremy now, you just pay 9 to drain 6 and draw a couple of cards. Like I said, you've got a big head start on your opponent, and you're out damaging him. So you might as well lean on him. He is going to use the control tunnel vision to cancel the drain. He's really just saving himself 1 card in that way, because instead of losing 2, he's losing 1. Resources are a bit thin, so I understand that. Without knowing what's in his deck and what left he might be hunting for, it's hard to say whether or not that's a good move or not. And he is going to move his guys over. They're going to get stuck in the desert. Luke can move back to Jabba's palace. Oh, looks like he's going to shuffle everybody around. So he moves Jabba and Forlom back. Looks like he's got a bunch of ships left in his deck. Nothing really worth pulling for anyway at this point. Yeah, he's got a huge 20-card advantage. Looks like Jeremy's definitely going to win this game. He was already ahead and was likely to win thanks to just being able to cancel some drains and things and do his own ground damage. But then obviously making him peel 10 cards in the battle kind of really just skewed things the other way. They'll only get a couple of drains in here. We'll get 1 in because Greedo cancels 1. We got a Poe Dameron from a hand. That's going to be 3 Battle Destiny. Buelo will cancel 1, and since he already canceled the drain, he can react with Greedo, get a little bit more power and forfeit. Oh, I'm sorry, he only gets 2 Destiny. Luke only draws 2 if unable to otherwise, and since Poe adds 1 and Luke has enough ability, or they have enough ability combined, Luke's text doesn't draw 2 and then Poe add 1. It's been a long day. We're going to stop this for a second just so you can analyze this last play. He's got 3 cards left in his reserve deck. Buelo cancels a Battle Destiny. He draws a 2 for Destiny and then plays effective repairs of Starship Levitation to take that ship into hand. That only leaves him with 2 cards remaining in his reserve deck. So Buelo is going to cancel, definitely going to cancel one of these cards anyway. Whatever he redraws here out of the highest. Yeah, so you always have to be careful with the redrawing. God forbid his opponent has a card that makes him redraw. That would be even worse. Then he wouldn't really get any Destiny. But again, we're low on life force. We're at the end of the game. So these are the kinds of things that you just sort of do. And he draws some low Destiny. Doesn't really get anything. Buelo will cancel the last one. Greedo will forfeit and cover that. And Darkseid draws a 7, which will kill Commander Luke. And we'll see how much further they play it out from here. Yeah, that's where he scoops. So thank you, Jeremy, for sending me over the link. Nice to get at least a little bit of a look at something we don't get to see too often, being my kind of scum. Excuse me. And best of luck to both you and Dylan in the remainder of your Jawa Cup games. All right. So that's going to go ahead and we're going to wrap up our show tonight. Again, be sure and tune in next week, 7:15 prompt. We'll do our giveaway again. I'll give away the Yoda stocking with the 3 packs in it and some other random stuff as well to continue the holiday spirit here at the Star Wars Twitch channel. Thank you guys very much for tuning in this evening. Hope everybody has a great night, and we will see you for some Outrider Cup games this week and this weekend, and back here next Monday night for giveaway number 2. Take care.